everyone. On today's episode, we welcome Hattie James to join us on the Sports Diary. We will be delving into Hattie's life, where we'll be taking it right back to when she hated sports, to now prepping for her comeback at the end of 2025 in her bodybuilding competition. Hattie started her first prep in July 2021 and then made her stage debut in the bodybuilding world in March 2022. We will also be giving you an exclusive insight into something you really won't expect. So stay tuned, you do not want to miss this. Hey Hattie, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Perfect, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. You?
Good.
You
Yeah.
look very cozy.
So, for our listeners that don't know you, what are 3 interesting facts?
I always find this one so hard because I'm like, I don't know what's interesting about me. But I'd say interesting to the point that probably not many people know is, first off, I used to be in the police, which is
cool.
quite unusual. People don't really expect it from me. So yeah, I did that through COVID for about 18 months. So 2020 to 2022. I am what I would say is allergic to the cold.
Same.
Now it is diagnosed. I don't think the correct terminology is allergic, but I react really badly to the cold. So it's called cold urticaria. I basically get covered in hives if I don't have my medication, which is just a strong antihistamine. So yeah, I've had that probably since I was about 10. Yeah, so about 14 years now, going strong.
Every day is a school day because I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, most people don't, but it's the easiest way to say it's just I'm allergic to the cold. So
I like it. Should get it printed on a t-shirt.
I actually should.
I'm allergic to the cold.
Just so people know.
Yeah. I love that.
And last off when I was at school, I was heavily involved in music and drama, and I actually played the recorder for a few years.
Love that.
And I got up to grade 6. Like, I did actually do more than just 3 blind mice on the recorder.
What was your favourite tune then to play on the recorder?
I guess the only one I can remember is probably Vivaldi, which a lot of it was like classical music because it was a recorder. So all my exam music was classical and things like that. So yeah, Vivaldi, Mozart, Beethoven.
Wow.
All of that kind of stuff.
Wish we knew. You could have brought it in and gave us a tune.
Absolutely not. No.
A pod special. Love it. Okay, so the listeners are aware that your sport is bodybuilding. What we would like to know is, what are the misconceptions around bodybuilding?
I'd say, for me personally, I think that a lot of people, when they think of bodybuilding, they think of competitive bodybuilding, and like the only way to be a bodybuilder is to compete, which to an extent, yes, but you can still be a bodybuilder and not get on stage. You can live a bodybuilder lifestyle and not be a competitive bodybuilder. So I'd say that it's kind of like presuming that it's all like glitz and glam and everybody's in a sparkly bikini, when in actual fact, the whole process is bodybuilding. It is building your body and your physique. That's probably like the main one that I would say.
Moving away from misconceptions, I want to take it all the way back to where this journey started. So what was childhood like and like growing up, school life for you?
I'd say like a general kid at like primary school. Like didn't really kind of like focus on anything in particular. I was never really sporty, didn't really do anything like that. Then going into secondary school, again, avoided sports, didn't have that many friends. I was very kind of like an introvert. I still am. I'm like an extroverted introvert.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So like I like to keep my own close little circle, and I don't really venture out past that quite often. I struggled a lot with anxiety at school. That's probably kind of like where it first started, because I still suffer with that now. But that was probably like year 8, year 9-ish. Early teens, basically. And that's probably just due to like general, like I didn't feel comfortable in myself, and your typical, not bullying, but you have like name calling and getting picked on, and a lot of that sort of like stuff growing up and just finding your feet a little bit, really. But yeah, I didn't really kind of like focus too much on one specific thing, just kind of did my best to get through school because I hated it.
Oh, let's see. So, kind of leading off from what you said, obviously you've mentioned you really just didn't like sport. Already spoke about your anxiety, the bullying. Do you think that's what made you hate sport, or was there like another factor?
I think it was just the typical, like, you had to wear at my school anyway, it was like the skirts, so like your shorts and anything. I hated it. Like, I always hated my legs, and that's probably like the biggest thing for me, is like I was always the bigger girl at school. Not like your typical like girly girl, very petite, slim, thigh gap. So I hated getting changed for PE in general, and I just wasn't very athletic. Like all the normal sports you do at school, like netball, running, whatever I should do. I was never there, so I don't know. But it was just never really for me. Like, I didn't enjoy it, and I just didn't feel comfortable.
It wasn't your cup of tea.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there that you didn't feel sort of comfortable in like your own sort of skin and things like that. Can you touch upon that a little bit more?
I think it was just like my physique, in terms of, like I said, being a little bit bigger than most people. I've always been naturally bigger on my lower half, like just due to genetics and like my dad's structure in his build. And a lot of the time I'd have people like pick on me for that, because it was quite unusual for a girl to be bigger unless she was like very overweight, which I wasn't. I was never like a fat kid as such, but I was definitely bigger. And that was just like my natural shape. And like a lot of the time, like boys would say like tree trunks and stuff like that, and just general nasty stuff as a kid. So I think it just made me feel like a little bit wary about my looks and how I looked to other people, and like my body wasn't normal. Yeah.
Did that cause like more stress or anxiety?
Yeah.
Or would you say that that's where your anxiety stemmed from?
I think I'm the type of person that I care a lot about other people. Well, I did care a lot about other people's opinions. Thankfully, like, I'm a lot better at that now. But I think that probably would have already been an issue anyway. But I think my main thing that I struggled with was people like picking on my physique and my body. So that definitely didn't help matters. So I was always a lot more conscious than probably what I would have been had nobody said anything.
I can imagine that was actually really, really tough, because I know, like, especially around the pre-teens, the hormones, the testosterone's kicking in, especially the boys, that's their way with flirting with you, like, oh, look at your legs, da da da, and you're like, okay, but you've just hurt my feelings,
you're
and actually
just being nasty.
And they're like, no, but I actually really like you, but I don't want to tell you that I like you.
It's just their way of flirting back in the day.
You've spoken a lot about how you really didn't like sport, how it's affected you. So who was it that, or was it somebody, or did you find the strength within yourself?
Like, you know what, I'm just going to like bite the bullet and I'm going to try something. And I actually had a friend who was a PT, so she actually used to live next door but one to my nan. So I'd known her for years, and she PT'd at a local gym of mine. So I ended up just going into it that way. So originally it was kind of just like your typical want to get in shape, like lose a little bit of weight, feel a little bit more comfortable. There was never really any thought process behind it other than tone up, I guess. So yeah, it was just through a friend, like kind of teaching me and guiding me into it a little bit.
So you almost fell into it, really, didn't you?
Yeah, like it was never really planned at all.
No.
Like I had no kind of thought about wanting to go to the gym, anything like that. Like everybody that I was friends with at the time, nobody went to the gym, so I was definitely on my own there. So yeah, it was.
And that can be a scary place, actually, like going into a gym on your own.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I feel like it's one of the reasons that a lot of people say, like, I don't want to start the gym, or I don't want to go in because it's intimidating. You get people in there that really know what they're doing. I mean, speaking from like personal experience as well, when I first started into the gym, it was the same. So yeah, 100% with you on that one. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty. So talk to us about your first comp, and what was that experience like from like prep right through to stepping on stage?
Okay, so
let the juiciness begin.
I think a lot of my whole journey as such, if you want to call it, is literally just been like winging it. Like that is my life pretty much. I don't really often have a set plan or a goal or anything like that. I'm just like, I'll give it a go. And a lot of the time, my I'll give it a go tends to just fall through pretty quickly. Like I never really stick anything out, not long term anyway. And at the time when I was in the police, I actually moved to the Isle of Man, so I was over there, and it was during lockdown. And because of lockdown, obviously I couldn't go to the gym, and I felt really uncomfortable again and put on more weight. So I signed up one night with an online coach. Didn't know him. It was probably the first coach that I seen online, and I followed him, and he messaged back. He was like, "Oh, hey, thanks for the follow." Got chatting, and literally that night signed up to an online coach, and it was essentially just to diet and get in shape and see how I feel. That quickly turned into a photo shoot prep, so I tried to push a little bit harder to actually properly diet. Again, didn't really stick to it, mainly because we were in and out of lockdown. So in the Isle of Man still, like, things would often open up, but then shut back down again, gyms included. So my photo shoot kept getting pushed back. And eventually when I did do it, I hadn't really stuck to plan. I didn't really have anything to keep me accountable. Even though I knew I was doing a photo shoot, I was like, it's just for me. Like, if I don't want to put the pictures anywhere, then I don't have to. So it wasn't that much of an incentive to kind of like keep myself on track. And throughout that time that I was dieting, my coach mentioned to me a couple of times, you know, are you going to compete? Do you want to get on stage? Do you want to do this? And I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, I knew very little about bodybuilding, and I'd seen bikini girls, and I was like, that's just not me. Like, I'm not that small. I'm never going to get that small. Like, no, and I just don't want to. And at the end of my photo shoot, he said it again. He was like, right, we're going to get you on stage next year.
I love that.
And I was like, okay. And then I kind of thought through it, and I was like, you know what? If he's mentioned it a few times and he wants to kind of prep me, surely there's something there that makes him think that I might do okay.
Yeah.
Like, I won't be completely awful. So I was like, you know what? Let's try it. And I think for me personally, in the back of my head, I never really thought that I was actually going to get on stage, because we discussed it probably 6 months prior to actually when I stepped on stage, when my prep started. I was just like, yeah, like, I'll do it. But I didn't think I'd actually get there. But knowing that I'd started prep and I kind of got myself involved in all this like new fitness world, like, it's completely different to the normal gym that I was like used to. I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I can honestly say that majority of my prep I loved. Like, my first ever prep to my first show, everything went according to plan. Obviously I stick to my diet, which is obviously good, and it does help. But I think because I hadn't dieted that much before and that hard, like, my body was very responsive, and every day was like, okay, this is actually quite fun. I got into a new little routine, so I did really, really enjoy it. Like, I learned a lot, but up until my first show, loved it. It was a bit hit and miss between like my first and my last. I had a couple of shows, and it was definitely harder than you think coming out of a show. But on the whole, yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed it. Like, again, it was never planned.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be a thing or like long term, but here we are.
Just a quick question. Yeah. So I was prepping in lockdown, and I really struggled because obviously all the gym closed. So like, how did you cope with that? Like, what kind of like program were you given? Was it just more body weight? What kind of routine were you given?
So, well, we were quite lucky because obviously on the Isle of Man, because it was so contained, our gyms opened up a lot sooner. But during the time that they were shut and I couldn't do anything, I literally just bought some resistance bands online, and they had like little handles and stuff that you could move. And I have still probably got, I'm pretty sure I have anyway, I've still got videos of my workouts from home that I'd send to my coach and be like, is this an okay alternative? And it was just like hooking them onto the door and like wrapping it around my foot, trying to do a hamstring curl or like a little squat or something. A lot of it was just body weight resistance, high reps, and just something was better than nothing. And then walking a lot.
Yes, we had the best weather for it.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good.
So you mentioned the gym that you were at before. So was that a commercial gym that you were used to? So do you think stepping away from the commercial gym into a gym probably with like-minded people, do you think that helped?
Yes.
Wanting to get on stage?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a very different mindset and attitude towards fitness between different gyms. And it's not to say that some are better than others. Obviously, everybody has their preference. But to me, there is a difference between a commercial and what I would call a bodybuilder gym. I feel like not to kind of like bait anyone out, but like a lot of the time you get your typical like fitness influencers, like nice, pretty looking, let's get the right, I mean, guilty sometimes, yes, but it's very heavily like, make sure it looks nice and this is like the proper way to do it. Whereas for me, I'm just like, I don't care what I look like. I will go in scruffs, I will sweat, I will make noise, I will be loud, I will take up space, and like I just go in purely to just do what I love. And I think bodybuilder gyms, they kind of help with that because nobody cares.
Yeah,
they're just like,
Such a
do what you
good
want.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
I've not stepped foot in one, but I know in like a commercial gym, you don't really hear people grunting.
No.
And I think I would be like,
I think you get more attention in commercial gyms. Like when I've had to go to say JD or something, I get a lot more attention, not like good or bad attention, but like just people kind of like, one, because I'm a female and I'm lifting weight and I'm actually training hard, which I think is still quite new for some people, but also like, again, making noise. Like I'm not the quietest when it comes to training, and everyone's like, is she okay?
Hattie's arrived.
does she need help?
With a t-shirt allergic to the cold.
Yeah, that's me.
That's why you're training hard. Stay warm.
So moving on from that first competition, what were the main things that you'd learned from that first one to like where you've come to now?
Main one is to just not care. I think in the best way I needed that, like in so many aspects of not caring, in the sense that I was so caught up in what I looked like, how others perceived me, what they thought of me, and going through prep, because of how much you have to do, and each day it's just wake up, tick the boxes, and you just do what you need to do before anything else. Like it's quite self-centered. You just do it. So I didn't make any effort with my appearance. I literally just rolled out of bed. Like I just learned to not care what I look like. And even by the end of it as well, like I was checking in, so like sending my photos to my coach in a bikini, which is obviously normal, in the middle of a car park in front of a load of army lads, because you just needs must when you're in the middle of like what's it called, service station. So you just don't care. Like you just lose, not in a bad way, you kind of lose dignity, and you literally just don't care. And that definitely helped me, because it made me realize, okay, well, what do I want out of what I'm doing, and do other people's opinions really matter, and are what they saying going to change what I'm doing? No, like I'm still going to do it anyway. So yeah, that's probably like the best thing that I've like taken from it.
So you've competed 5 times and you're currently prepping for your 6th competition.
Not quite.
Not quite. Is that
Not
right?
quite.
Ooh.
So people at the minute, I think that I'm prepping. I'm dieting and I'm doing like a mock prep, but my official prep for stage will probably start about March next year. So like it's the pre-prep stage in a way.
Okay.
I'm like gearing myself up to reverse that properly, have a little bit more growth, get a little bit henny, and then diet.
Okay, that's really good to know. So there is a prep for a prep-ish.
For me, yeah.
Oh, so this is your choice. So if you were prepping for, because is it 2025?
Yes, end of next year.
So if you're prepping for that, this is just a personal preference that you want to do.
Yeah, bluntly, in a nutshell, I got too fat too quick, in bodybuilder terms.
Okay.
So I had far too much weight to pull off for it to be an actual prep. It would have been hell. So I needed to use this time to like get a little bit of weight off, and kind of like get myself in a good start point, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. That's quite interesting, actually. So leading-ish from it, so obviously with every prep, every time you've competed, every time that you step on stage, do you feel different every time that you compete?
God, it feels like a lifetime ago now, I think there was definitely a difference between the first and last time that I stepped on stage, for sure. First time I was a bucket of nerves. I was, shaking like a shitted dog, basically. I was not feeling it. Like I was just so scared, and like it was the first time that like my mum had come to watch as well, and like had any sort of involvement within bodybuilding. Like I still felt out of place. I'm not one for like wearing heels and stuff like that, and I had to pose and prance about on stage. It was all just like, what the hell am I doing? But then by the end, like, I actually really enjoyed it, and this like alter ego kind of came out, and I'm like, yes, like, I'm here for this. All eyes on me. So yeah, it was definitely a lot more fun by the end. It was more competitive. The more I went on, I was like, okay, yeah, I actually want to do this to be good and to do well. But I was enjoying it a lot more by the end. So I'm hoping that when I get into my next season, I'll probably still be nervous because it would be like 3 years away from stage, but I know that I enjoy it, so it should be good.
I will have to keep an eye on that one.
Yes.
Yep.
So I want to talk a little bit about your YouTube. So you've recently started to sort of document your journey and everything you're doing. So your subscribers have like shot up recently. Can you tell us a little bit sort of like how you've made that happen?
I think for me, I've just used my assets, which happens to be my ass. Bluntly. I never ever predicted it was going to go so far, so quick. I mean, I had the conversation with my boyfriend when I first started YouTube, which was probably about 6 months ago, I want to say, because I vlogged all of like holiday stuff at the end of last year. And I said to him, I was like, oh, it would be so cool if I hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of next year, as in like the end of 24. Mm-hmm. And he was like, maybe being a little bit more realistic. maybe like 1,000. I was like, I know, I was only joking. Like, I'm not thinking I'm going to get 5,000. When in my head, I'm like, I'm going to get more than that. So I was like, okay, no, I'll be realistic. Maybe like a couple hundred would be nice. And I was doing my own vlogging stuff for holidays. And then when I then started the idea that I was going to do this mock prep, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it all out on YouTube. Like, it's somewhere for me to look back on, and obviously to kind of get my face out there a little bit. And I hired a videographer who was actually a good friend of ours, and it was all like professionally done in terms of like the quality and everything like that. And one of my first videos with him was basically saying that I'm not natural in terms of bodybuilding, so I obviously take enhancers. And that video alone got, I think we're probably on like 250,000 views. So I'd gone from like a couple hundred subscribers to suddenly this video went out, and within the first week was about 60,000 views. And then it resurfaced and kind of did the rounds again, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And obviously with that pushing it out to more people, it then meant that I had a lot more subscribers, and then it kind of then keeps pushing it itself. So the more subscribers you have, the more your channel gets pushed on like the home pages and stuff like that. So it was just wild, and it was kind of just playing to my strengths. So it was, I think the video at the start was me saying that I'm not natural, but it went into my check-in. So I wear a bikini for my check-in, and I was with my coach, and it was basically the majority of the video was just me in like a swimming suit top and my pants and heels. And I think I quickly realised that maybe the majority of my audience is going to be older men. So again, yeah, just playing to that. And I've still documented all of my fitness stuff, a lot of training videos on there. And then I decided to listen to some people's comments, which was do a try-on haul. Mm-hmm. So I did my first try-on haul. And then again, that also kind of like, to me, went viral because we're at like 500 and something thousand views. Wow. So obviously the more views I get, the more people will subscribe. So yeah. I'm now just about touching 19,000 subscribers.
Well done.
Done like
awesome.
Probably 3 months solid of actually content on there. So
you just said there about people's comments. Do you ever get any negative comments?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very mixed. And I couldn't even say like what majority comes from like what gender or anything like that. But it's either, for the likes of bodybuilding side, it's either, oh yeah, like you're a goddess kind of thing, you look amazing, you're so muscular, you're this, that and the other, or it's you're fat, what muscle, you're a bodybuilder. Like obviously I carry a lot of fat on my lower half, so it's very obvious in certain lighting or things like that in certain ones of my videos. So a lot of people will be like commenting on cellulite and things like that. I mean, a lot of the time it's negative in terms of my physique. It's never really about me, mm-hmm. which I don't mind. I mean, I can change my physique, so it's fine. So I'm like, oh, straight over the head. It doesn't faze me. But yeah, comments are very 50-50, like up and down. Mm. Yeah.
It's good that you can brush those off, because some of the comments, some people out there can be dreadful.
God, yeah, honestly, nasty.
Yeah. So recently you've been documenting your journey with sort of like different supplements. So can you tell us a bit of like research or like background information on like what supplements you're taking?
So since the start of bodybuilding, I've always taken just general supplements, as in like creatine, vitamins, minerals, like EAAs, things like that, just your general stuff that you take. Having gone into competitive bodybuilding and actually taking things seriously and realizing where I want to go and realistically what I need to do, I have now implemented more actual enhancers. So I did say on my YouTube that I'm not natural, and that's because I first took clenbuterol, which is prescribed for asthmatics originally. So it is like an actual drug as such, medicine, and it's tablet form. But one of the benefits it has within bodybuilding is it can assist with weight loss and burning fat. It's a fat burner. So at the end of my last prep, literally for a week, I took Clen. And you are not natural if you take Clen, and I did not realise that, and my coach didn't tell me, so brownie points to him for not making me know. So I, without realising, became unnatural, and when I found out, I was like, oh, okay, well, if I've already kind of fallen into the realms of not being natural, well, then I have more of a kind of like a, mindset of, let's just
May as well carry on.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, I'm down the fucking rabbit hole already, so
Keep going.
let's go. So then I went into my next diet with my current coach, so it's someone else, and we implemented Clen. To me, it was like nothing really. To me personally, there's no real downside or any negative effects. And I then also had the discussion with her about trialing growth hormone. Which for me I inject, and I have been doing that since I want to say like April last year, a bit over a year now, like 13-14 months. And again, it's not an androgenic, so it's not a steroid as such. It's not like a hardcore steroid, but it is definitely like you are not natural if you take growth hormone. So yeah, been running that for about a year, and then more recently I have actually now also implemented what I would say is like a hardcore kind of steroid as such. It is an androgenic, so it has a lot more side effects potentially, and can affect you in different ways, and that is primobolan. I mean, it's really bad to say that I haven't done like huge amounts of research on it. Like I know what I feel I need to know, which is why I've chosen to go on it. I'm literally like a week into my first cycle at the moment, so very, very early days. This is not me promoting it in any way. So for listeners out there, I'm not saying go and do drugs, honeys. Like, please don't. This is just me personally, and obviously, it's my choice, it's my body. I have done what I deem as reasonable research. I've spoken to a lot of people. I've got a lot of knowledgeable people in my circle, like close friends. Someone who sponsors me owns a supplement company and is very, very smart. We've had many a chats, and my coach as well, she's not natural, so she can give me her own opinion and outlook. And yeah, so I kind of just bit the bullet, and I've gone down that route now. So
And what is
primobolan?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know.
told what to do and I do it. I just take it.
There's very few enhancers that females can take because of the side effects. So obviously what we call virilization, which is having effects of somewhat turning masculine, so a lower voice, change of your facial structure, so a bit of a more prominent jaw. It's obviously what makes you then gain more muscle, because obviously typically men are bigger and more muscular. So it is that, and what else do people take? Like TRT, so testosterone, Femtest, they're like your main ones, and Anavar, they're like the main ones that a female can take. So Primo is an injectable, Anavar is oral, so it's just a tablet, so I inject it.
How often do you inject?
So for what I'm running at my dosage, it's like the lowest dose that you can do, but we've split it into two. So I'll do 2 injections a week, so Wednesday, Saturday, just to kind of like make it a little bit more easier on my body as such, rather than just do like a big blast all in one go.
And do you have to have like regular like blood tests or anything like that?
Yeah, so I do anyway. I always have done since I competed. I usually every 6 to 9 months I'll get a blood test and make sure everything's in check. And to be fair, apart from having naturally high testosterone level for a female, that's always been the case. My bloods are pretty damn good.
So interesting.
It is, like, it's really interesting. I'm too much of a wimp to take anything. Paracetamol is about it.
So that's the thing, like, I always used to be like that. I'm like, I don't do paracetamol. Like, if I'm in pain, I'm like, your body is designed to kind of like fight colds and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't want your paracetamol over the counter, but give me the hard stuff.
Yeah.
So you've just mentioned, obviously, there are many side effects to what you are taking. So how would this affect you, like with your cycle, your fertility, and your hormones?
So it can obviously cause irregular cycles. It can stop them. It can cause infertility. They are like the big things. That's why you need to keep an eye on your blood levels and make sure you are getting them checked. So I do know the side effects in terms of that. And also virilization in terms of having different features that might not be as feminine. It's just a case of being safe and not being stupid with it. You know, I've got my coach and her advice as well as everyone else. So it's monitoring everything in terms of, because I'm not on any contraceptive anyway, so I'm regular with my cycles. So if anything were to change, that to me would be a red flag, and kind of be like, right, okay, let's find out what's going on. There's apps as well to check your voice to see if it kind of changes at all.
That's interesting.
And the other thing as well, I don't know if you guys have, I don't know if I can say it on here. A big one that people say about steroids is clit dick.
Yes, yeah. It's been pointed out to me once in a gym. They went, Nat, look at this. And I was like, what? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, unless you don't want to sleep at night, don't go and Google pictures. It's all I can say. Don't do it. Don't.
That's me when I get home.
Don't do it. So, yeah, it's to monitor that is a case of taking photos, and
Really?
yeah, it will literally just be a case of like,
Just got a folder on your phone.
well, I will do.
To see if they progressively change. Or
Yeah.
it's progressively change.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every
You
day
don't want to see one done.
You've got me all intrigued now.
I mean, if you want a little bit of light bedtime reading, sure, go ahead. But I'm pre-warning you. It's a bit of a sight.
Interesting.
Oh,
Very
I'll let you know
interesting.
later tonight. So moving on from that one,
Swiftly.
I want to talk about mental preparation for sort of start of prep and then coming off stage, because when you get on stage, you obviously are so lean, because you've not even sniffed a donut. So then when you come off stage, you know, you're allowed to eat sort of essentially what you want.
Yeah.
So I want to go from mental, like, prep, and then coming off, and how it is for seeing your body change after.
Hard.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's hard. It's exactly that. It's a mental state, mental mind game, and it is literally, as much as you do the work physically, if you are not in the right headspace, it will just crumble. And quite literally, what I did was crash and burn. And it's really, really important that even for first timers, that you're prepared for what the aftermath is, because not many people realize. Like, people told me, like, be prepared for post show, like, it's hard. And I'm like, no, I'll be fine. Like, and I was listening to podcasts and hearing about people, how they manage things, because you literally go from, me personally, I was on a meal plan. So some people, they might macro track their prep. I just couldn't do it. So I was on a meal plan for the best part of 7 months, never went off, never had an off-plan meal, didn't have a drop of alcohol, which I don't drink anyway, weighed every single gram of food every day. And it's so strict and literally like to the dot. And then, yeah, as you say, you get off stage and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm done now. Like, and you kind of almost anticipate knowing that you can have food to an extent, and you can become very heavily food focused, which is what I did. I mean, my whole explore page on Instagram was just food, like saving things left, right and centre as to what I wanted and what I was craving. and then it's just this overwhelming sensation when you get off stage that you're just like, okay, what can I have? And it's your typical, loads of people buy stuff ready for post show and like your treats, and a lot of it's like very like sweet based foods. And knowing when to stop is hard. Like for me, I didn't, which was definitely the hard part. I mean, I don't know if we'll go into much detail, but I have like had issues with eating disorders prior to bodybuilding, which I didn't think was an issue, and then it kind of triggered it again coming out of the show. So I would fall into this binge eating cycle. So even between shows, that's where I struggled. Having like long gaps between shows, and especially when I finished my season, I just ate crap day in, day out. Like I had no motivation to stick to it, because you've kind of almost had this goal for so long, and then all of a sudden it's taken away from you, and it's like, okay, well, what have I got now to focus towards? Nothing. And you just end up eating. It's really, really common. Like so many people will just eat crap and not even think about it, but your body is so sensitive and so responsive that if you don't handle post-show right, you just balloon up, which is exactly what I did. And I think I gained something stupid like 10 kilos in about 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for 7 months you've done this prep and you've not veered off at all.
No.
Is your prep as boring as you'd imagine, like plain? Because a lot of, like now when people are dieting and they're just trying to drop a bit of body fat, they're saying your meals don't have to be boring, you can have these sauces, things like that. Is yours really boring, or do you actually enjoy eating the food?
I think it's only as boring as you make it to be. So I was very lucky in that I told my coach all the foods that I did and didn't like. He planned it out all for me, and I was at the start very detached from food. I was just like, it's just another point that I need to do. It's just as important as training. Like you don't really think about training. You can be kind of emotionally attached and enjoy training, but it's like you do the do to get to where you want. Same as food. You just eat the food to get to where you want. Like you try not to like emotionally fixate on it. So for me, okay, I didn't have the most interesting foods, but I was like, it's just another thing that I need to do. Now being more experienced and having kind of like more knowledge and things like that, like I could quite happily macro track now and mix foods up, but I quite like the mundane. I like knowing what I'm having, and I have 5 meals a day and training day, rest day food, and to me I enjoy that. But like you say, people can macro track, they can make things more interesting. You can have, like I had seasoning on my food, I had low-cal sauces, like I had things in place to kind of like give it a little bit of flavor where I could. But yeah, there's no reason why it can't be a little bit more interesting, especially if you're doing a general diet. You've got so much flexibility to kind of like play around with food. You don't need to kind of just think, I just need to have chicken and veg.
Yeah.
Like chicken,
one
rice,
of the
and veg.
things that I hear quite often is that people are like, so-and-so, we invited them out for dinner, but they're on this prep and they brought their Tupperware out with like chicken, rice and veg. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, it's very strict.
Yeah, I mean, I did do that several times. I refused to miss out on social occasions just because I made the choice to prep. Like, I'm not inflicting my decision on anyone else. If I want to still go and join in, cool, I did. And to be fair, like, my experience with taking my own food out was absolutely fine. No one judged me. All the restaurants that I went to, everybody was really, really nice. And I explained and said the situation. They're like, yeah, cool, that's absolutely fine. So nobody really kind of like questioned it. From my own personal experience, no one was bothered. But I mean, if you're not on prep, there's easy ways around, like checking the menu before you go out and seeing what's a good alternative. Or a lot of the time, if you are macro tracking, you can bank your calories to eat less in the day and save more for night. So I would say if you're not on a show prep, like you don't need to be that extreme. Like it's just going to cause you to feel restricted.
Yeah. So when you come off stage and you are allowed to sort of eat what you want, how do you not revert back to binge eating behaviours?
I mean, well, I did. So it's hard. I'm yet to do it. That's another reason why I'm doing this mini prep, is because I need to reverse that properly, because I'm yet to actually do it properly. Because as much as I like my routine and I like knowing what to eat, there is no doubt about it that when you haven't had a food for so long and there's no set goal and there's no pressure on you, you automatically think, oh yeah, I'll just go and have this or I'll have that. And then you get a taste for it and then you want a little bit more. So every time I've come out of a diet, I've kind of messed it up a little bit. So that's why I'm doing it again. So it's hard. I've fallen into the realms of binge eating again, like post-show, because I was so restricted. I mean, by the end of my prep, I was literally on less than 1,000 calories and it was just chicken and veg. Like plain Jane, like literally nothing exciting. So that in itself made it harder. So I think the more restrictive you are towards the end is going to make it harder when you come out of the diet. It's just taking it day by day, really. So for anybody else, if they do struggle with it, literally, as long as you've got someone in your corner, i.e. a coach or a friend, a family, a partner, to kind of like keep you on track, and just take it day by day. And if you slip up, well, that's one day, start fresh the next day.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. So we've spoken about like the mental side. We're going to talk about the physical side. So how physically demanding is bodybuilding?
Hard. I feel like that's what I'm saying. It's just hard.
Got another t-shirt.
Yeah.
We've got a right little collection going on.
I think, I mean, for me, I struggle with the cardio because I hate cardio. Like, I just don't like it. And there's so many different forms that you can do. But training-wise, I absolutely love. I thoroughly love training, going to the gym, being in my own little world, my own element. So off-season bodybuilding is great. I love it. There's not really any downside, apart from if you have like a bit of a meh session, which is normal. But within prep, if you are actively dieting and you're still trying to maintain good quality sessions, you're dieting, it is a massive strain on your body. Like, your body is depleted. We are not designed to be that low body fat percentage, especially as females. It's not safe, it's not healthy, as it were. Like, I'm not saying it is a healthy sport, it's not. Demanding, very, very demanding physically. And towards the end, you just feel like crap. Like, you're tired, you don't want to do anything, you haven't got the energy to do anything. I mean, I didn't even have the energy to have a shower sometimes because you're just so weak and tired. But it's part and parcel of it, really. So as long as you kind of know to expect that, then it's one of those things where as long as you know that it's your choice and it's your goal, you've just gotta do it and suck it up.
Okay, we're hoping to speak to you about OnlyFans, as you've been very open and honest on your social medias.
Yep.
But the one thing I'm actually really intrigued by is, how did you make the switch from the police full-time to OnlyFans full-time?
Yes, a little bit different.
Very different.
Very different. A little jump. Teeny little jump. Yeah, I mean, again, it was never the plan. I knew when I was leaving the police, I obviously handed in my notice, whatnot, and I'd already joked around to different people saying, oh, if I wasn't in the police, I'd 100% get on OnlyFans. Like, you know, it was like the big thing at the time. During lockdown, everybody was on it. So I followed through with that, and when I handed in my notice, I set up my account. So technically I was still employed when I set it up, and that was found out.
Yeah. So what happened with that?
So I mean, I obviously I was already leaving, and I was on what we call light duty. So it meant I couldn't go and attend like incidents or anything because I couldn't pick up the workload. So I stayed at the station, and I was due to have an exit meeting with the superintendent or whoever it was, someone high up. And my sergeant I got on really, really well with, and we had a report writing room. There was a wall with a glass window, and then the office for the sergeant. And I was on my way to my meeting to talk about why I was leaving. And as I walked past, I literally went past the door of my sergeant, and all I heard was, Hattie? And I was like, yeah? He goes, oh, well, I've heard that you've set up an OnlyFans account. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, right. Oh, okay. Well, obviously, like, people are talking about it. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I know you're leaving anyway, so there's not really anything I can do. I just thought I'd let you know. Mm-hmm. Subscribe. Yeah. The first one there. So yeah, I mean, that kind of became wildfire news, which never actually really had a negative impact on me, to be honest. So it was news, and I kind of just kept it on the sideline. I left the police and went into work in a gym for a few months. Did that for part of my prep, and then I moved back to the UK in April to take care of my boyfriend's dad because he was quite unwell. So essentially, I was then unemployed for I think about 4 or 5 months, maybe a little bit longer. So my only source of income was OnlyFans. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to kind of like push this a little bit more because it's my only money.
Gotta make money.
So thankfully I was in a position where I wasn't relying on it as such for bills, and I was kind of supported in that area as such, which was a massive help. I then continued it. I still had the page, but I ended up working in a GP surgery, just on reception, and I did that for about a year part-time, so just 2 days a week, and left to take care of my boyfriend's dad again. And by that point I was like, you know what, let's just actually put some effort into this. And I told myself, right, okay, this is my actual job now, like we're gonna push it. And it kind of took off from there, and then got into modeling, and that is my job now. That's awesome.
So how many subscribers do you have?
About, it fluctuates, looking like between 250 to 300 on average.
And how many days a week do you dedicate to like content for OnlyFans?
It varies. I mean, I'll do like a full day of content where I just get general content, and then obviously like I do get requests, and so depending on as and when I get those, then I'll do that when I can. So yeah, I mean, I guess actually working on there, like messages is like a full-time job. Like messaging people is every day, all day, every day. But in terms of content, I could probably get away with just doing like 1 day a week if I really wanted to. But it's all kind of like collated, like with modelling work, like I can use those images. So I'm already working anyway as such. And then I get the images back from that, or I'll just like film behind the scenes, different things like that. So I don't really have like actual working hours, which is actually really good for me, to be honest. I can kind of do what I want.
So I'm really intrigued as to what the weirdest request or message you've ever
took the
had.
question out my head.
I need to know.
For me, I think the weirdest one is because it's an absolute no-no, and I just can't see how you can possibly sexualize it, is somebody asked for a video of me having a shit into a plastic bag.
That's disgusting. Wow.
Dirty pig.
People want to watch that.
Yeah, like not just one, like several. A lot of people are into, is it water sporting? I mean, I'm not into it.
What's
so,
water sporting?
Like into like PE and.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Water sports, I think is what they call it.
I literally looked at you like, what?
God. So yeah, people want to pay to watch. Disclaimer, I don't do it.
Has anyone ever asked you to send them stuff? Not the shit in the bag.
People have bought pants, socks. I don't know what happened. It never happened. But someone did ask for specifically 5 pieces of chewed gum, and I think he said like for at least 10 minutes each. But nothing ever happened. Nothing came from it, which I was really disappointed about because he was offering money, and I was like, I chew gum anyway.
You're having a good jawline. I thought it was weird selling my cabin crew shoes and tights. I earned quite a bit from that. I was like, yeah, that's fine, off you go.
Well,
extra dollars.
If anyone wants to buy any of mine socks, feel free.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably like the weirdest. But it depends what you define as weird though as well. Like, I mean, to some people, obviously that is a fetish, which they wouldn't class as weird. But for me, I'm like, no.
So they just want to watch you doing that?
Yeah.
Oh God, and then you've got to dispose of it.
Well, this is what I thought, you see, because I was like, I mean, first off, I'm not doing it anyway, but hypothetically, if I were, my thought process was, right, well, how? How do I do it? One, how am I filming it? Because I need to sit on a toilet. 2, when the poo is in the bag, what do I do with it? I'm not taking it out and putting it down the toilet. I'm not sealing the bag and putting the human poo in my bin. Like, what do you do? So for the girls out there that actually do it, because there must be some girls out there.
Please get in my DMs.
Yeah, let me know. Hit me up with the ideas.
There was a woman in lockdown, wasn't she? She was selling her toots in a jar.
Her what?
Oh, yeah.
So I say toots.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard stories about that, or like spit. A lot of people sell spit.
Oh.
I've done videos of me spitting, like as if I'm spitting on someone. A lot of people are into degrading. Like that's probably a big market of mine.
They're like a masculine
Really?
energy.
Yeah, like muscle mummy vibes.
Oh, wow.
Another t-shirt.
We're going to start a collection of things. Okay, right. Moving on from this topic. So, lastly, to wrap it all up, what advice would you give to other females in particular wanting to start out in bodybuilding?
Go for it. Absolutely, just go for it. If it's something that you want to do, no matter what it is, if it's bodybuilding or anything, just try it. Don't rush into it. Don't think that you need to get on stage immediately. Just learn to enjoy the process. Understand that the lifestyle is a lifestyle, and is it really what you want to do? Be prepared for kind of like certain sacrifices if you get into the realms of competitive bodybuilding, but learn to just not give a damn and just go to the gym, train hard, enjoy building muscle, carrying a little bit of extra weight, and just do it, because it is actually so much fun, in my opinion. I love it.
I'm so glad. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an interesting one.
Yeah,
I actually loved
we've covered a few.
Yeah, we covered a few topics.
Oh, it's been so good. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. So, everybody, if you like what you hear in today's episode, please like, rate, and subscribe.
Tune in with us every other Monday. You don't want to miss all the incredible guests we have lined up.
I'm Demi.
I'm Nat.
Bye.
Bye.